What's up, Fantasy Champions? Spotlight Sports Network is excited to tell you about an amazing deal from Thrive Fantasy, your place for daily fantasy sports and esports. Right now, with promo code SS Network, Thrive Fantasy will match up to $50 of your first deposit. So go to thrivefantasy.com and sign up now with promo code SS Network. That's thrivefantasy.com, promo code SS Network. Welcome to the My City, My Game pod show featuring Raider J77, your place for all things Raiders and all things Trailblazers. Brought to you by the Spotlight Sports Network. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Now let's go. What is good? What's up, Raider Nation? This is your boy Raider J77. It is time for Raider J Reaction Tuesday. Where I will react to all of the games that have been played Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. So definitely make sure that if you haven't already, if you're new here, like and subscribe to the channel. Definitely hit the notification button as well. So that way you get notified anytime I do weekly shows. I'm always posting new content. So hit that notification button so you're getting all of the updates. If you are jumping in live and you want to jump into the chat, definitely do so. I'd love to see you jump into the chat and let me know that you're here so I can shout you out absolutely positively. So again, I appreciate each and every one of you. I am back to full health after the one chip challenge that I did earlier today that I streamed live. Everybody seemed to enjoy it a lot. Everybody seemed to want to watch me suffer. So, hey, that's all good. You know, we hit that mile marker. We hit that 100 subscribers. And I promised you if we hit 100 subscribers that I would do that challenge. So I came through with it and I earned myself a little banner. One chip challenge champion 2020. What a way to finish off 2020. Than to make myself suffer and burn the crap out of my mouth and my throat and probably more later on. So yeah, here is the one chip challenge champion banner that I received. So I did it, y'all. I did it. Anyhow, once again, I appreciate you being here. Also, we do have it set up, so if you do want to give donations to the channel, I absolutely appreciate that. You can hit up the website down below, and you can check that out and say, you know, just leave a donation for the channel, and it goes right back into the channel so I can keep providing you guys with the great content that you're looking for. So, moving right on, we're going to get right into this Raider J Reaction Tuesday. Let me pull up the games here for everybody. So it is week 8. And, you know, if you guys also are watching live, definitely hit the chat up. Let me know what your reaction is as well, because it's important for me to get your guys' reaction to the scores and the stats and all that good stuff. So I've got it set up so that your guys' chats are going to be popping up here on the screen. So you'll be able to see what everybody's saying in addition to the chat down below on YouTube as well. So I like doing that because if I get, you know, people coming in from multiple different places, Facebook, YouTube, and other places, everybody's chat or everybody's comment pops up on the screen so that you can see it. All right, so without further ado, let's move on. Let's get into these games. So Thursday night game, that was the Falcons versus the Panthers. Falcons beat the Panthers 25-17. I honestly thought, oh, looks like I got a little bit of a freeze up. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Give me just a quick second. No, I'm actually not going live with Spotlight right now. But let me fix my screen here. Sorry about that, guys. So I am still here. We are still live. Just having a little bit of a technical difficulty real quick. But we're going to get it fixed right now. And just one quick second here. So once again, we are live here for Raider J Reaction Tuesday. I do apologize for the technical difficulty that I'm having here with my for some reason my camera decided it was gonna freeze up, but we will be back with you momentarily. All right, so I am back. Apologize for that. So yeah, Icy Nate, are you going live with Spotlight? No, I am not going live right now. So right now I have just started using the Streamlabs. And so I'm trying to get it set up so that I'm able to go live on my channel as well as the Spotlight Sports Network channel. But that's something that's a work in progress. I'm, still kind of learning how to use this particular operating system. There's quite a bit to it, so I'll get that worked out very shortly. Anyhow, so yeah, onward to what we're doing here with the games. So yeah, I really did expect Carolina to pull out the win. Even without Christian McCaffrey, I really felt like they were going to be able to beat the Falcons. But unfortunately, even though it looked like they were at the beginning, because at one point, Carolina had, was really in the fight there. And so it just in the second half, for whatever reason, they came out and just kind of sputtered and it was just all bad from there. So, let's take a look at some of the stats here real quick. Just a second. Let me pull that up here. Yeah, team stats 401 to 304. 270 passing yards versus 157. See, that's the thing about it is, that Teddy Bridgewater seems to be a good quarterback, but he seems to struggle a bit at times. So I'm not really 100% sure what that's all about. I just, for whatever reason, he just doesn't seem to come through at certain times. I don't have a lot of faith in him. I never really have. But I really thought that how poorly the Falcons defense has been playing, that they were going to pull this win out. So, but alas, they didn't. They got their butts handed to them. They got their butt handed to them. So, what are you going to do? All right, next up, we got the Vikings and the Packers. Now, who the heck saw this coming? Oh my God, who saw this coming? Who saw the Vikings beating the Green Bay Packers? I mean, really, did anybody put it in the chat? If you saw these guys, if you saw the Vikings beating the Panthers, my goodness, like, it's just crazy. And now I seem to be having more difficulties with my camera. So give me just a quick second. We're going to get this sorted out. I do apologize, everybody, but I seem to be having more technical difficulties here with my camera, which is very strange. Never had this issue before. So bear with me while I get this sorted out here so that we won't have this issue anymore. I believe I know what the problem is, so just bear with me. Yeah, that's true, Icy Nate. The Falcons do blow too many leads for sure. All right, so All right, so we are good to go now. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties. For some reason, my camera is just acting up. You just thought that my camera did the one chip challenge earlier, and not me. Yeah, so definitely like never really saw the Vikings beating the Green Bay Packers 28-22. Taking a look at some of the stats here. Green Bay had 400 yards. Green Bay had more total yardage than the Vikings altogether. They had more passing yards, but here's the difference. The rushing yards, 173 for the Vikings and 109. I mean, that's a pretty significant difference, and that's really, I think, what won them the game. They had less first downs. Their third down conversion was about the same. The efficiency on fourth down was about the same. And their total plays, the Vikings only had 49 plays compared to the 66 for the Green Bay Packers. So, I mean, looking at the stats, you would have thought that Green Bay would have pulled this out. You would have thought that Green Bay would have been the winners of this game, but it wasn't. And it was, it's not like it was a huge game or a huge difference in score, but, given those 4 touchdowns by the Vikings running back, I mean, that's just what sealed the game, is they just had a better running game going. All right, so the next game, Titans versus the Bengals. The Titans, who would have saw this coming either? I mean, you talk about, upsets of the week. The Titans supposedly being one of the top teams in the league, lose to the Bengals 31-20. And Joe Burrow pulls out an upset against the Titans, and then just sits them down. I mean, looking at some of the stats here, let's pull up some of these stats and let's dig a little bit deeper into this here. So, the total yardage, the Titans outdid the Bengals 441 yards to 367. That's a significant difference. They had less passing yardage, but they had way more rushing yards. 218 rushing yards versus 118 for the Bengals. How the Bengals pulled this win out is beyond me. How they won by a touchdown and a field goal? Or sorry, excuse me, no, more than that. More than a touchdown. They won by 11 points. How does that happen? That's just crazy. I mean, Joe Burrow, had a great night. They matched completely in first downs. Let's see how many. So the time of possession for the Titans was only 24 minutes. It was 35 for the Bengals. How in the world they were able to possess the ball without being able to run for when they only ran for 118 yards, but they were able to possess the ball for that much more? I mean, that's just impressive. The Titans' yards per play was almost 7.5, and only 5.3 for the Bengals. How did they win this game, y'all? It doesn't make any sense. I'm completely baffled, man. Like, I have no idea how in the world they were able to pull off this upset. Joe Burrow was 26 for 37 for 249 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, that is really, really good. They had a couple of rushing touchdowns. I mean, just an overall like team victory. But looking at those stats, man, I am really shocked that they were able to actually pull off this win. Next up, we got the Chiefs and the Jets. Of course, the Chiefs just steamrolled the Jets 35-9. It wasn't even a matchup. The Jets are a dumpster fire. They're a hot mess. They're ready to have a fire sale because their whole organization is on fire. Adam Gase is just a nightmare when it comes to being a head coach. I mean, the stats are ridiculous. 496 yards versus 221. Patrick Mahomes was able to pass for 446 yards. They only had 50 rushing yards. The Kansas City Chiefs only ran for 50 yards for the whole game. Just completely steamrolled them. 7.4 yards per play. That's just insane. The time of possession was almost exactly equal. I mean, what a complete, just terrible game. I don't even know why they even allowed this to happen. That's just a travesty. Up next, we got the Colts and the Lions. The Colts 41-21 over the Lions. Yeah, they allowed the Lions to score 21 points, but they put up 41 points against this Lions defense. Phillip Rivers actually had 3 touchdowns in this game, if you can friggin' believe it. And Matthew Stafford had 3 touchdowns in this game, if you can believe it. Let's take a look at some of the overall team stats here. 366 yards versus 326. I mean, that's almost exactly the same. I mean, that's pretty close. You know, what is that? 40 yards difference, basically. The Lions had more passing yards, not a whole lot more, but the rushing yards for the Colts, 119 versus 29. The Lions only had 29 yards running. What? How do you call yourself a football team if you can only run for 20 yards or 29 yards in a whole game? I mean, that's just ridiculous. They allowed 5 sacks. They allowed this Indianapolis Colts defense to sack their quarterback 5 friggin' times in this game. That is just terrible. And then they had a fumble and an interception. I mean, you talk about that. That's a recipe for a loss right there. You have an interception, a fumble, and 5 sacks. Good Lord. That's just crazy. Crazy. I want to look at something here. How do they ran the ball. They only ran the ball 13 times they only ran the ball 13 times. How do you only run the ball 13 times? It's not like they weren't. I mean, they ran the ball with Agnew. He had 11 yards in one run. Matt Stafford rushed for 10 yards. So one of those rushes was your quarterback. So your running backs you only run 12 run plays with your running backs. Like, what kind of confidence in your run game is that? I mean, that's just establish the run, for the love of God. That's crazy. All right, onward. Steelers versus the Ravens. This was the game of the week for me. I don't know why this was not on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football, man, or Thursday Night Football. This was the game of the week. The Steelers pull out the win. I knew, I had a feeling they were going to win. I had picked them to win this 28-24. Man, what a game. What a freaking game that was. It was just right down to the end, right down to the wire. You thought the Ravens were going to pull it out in the end, but then Lamar Jackson messed it up. All right, here's what I'm going to say about Lamar Jackson, and you can save this video and you know what? Play it for me later if I'm wrong. I don't believe Lamar Jackson is the future of this Ravens team. I do not believe at this point. I'm not saying, given a season or two down the line, I'm saying right now, Lamar Jackson is not going to take the Ravens to a Super Bowl and get them a Super Bowl win. He just doesn't seem to. He just doesn't seem to be able to pull through in the clutch when it's necessary. You saw it last season when they played the Titans. The Titans came in and just dominated them in that playoff game. Lamar Jackson just doesn't seem to have that it factor when it comes to coming through in the clutch and pulling through in big games. And this was a big game. This is a big rivalry, the Ravens and the Steelers. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest rivalries in the NFL right now. And you have an opportunity to drive down the field and to beat the Steelers, who are playing amazing football, and you just completely flop when it comes right down to it. You completely flop. I want to take a look at something here. Lamar Jackson was 13 for 28 for 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. 13 of 28. That's less than 50%. His arm needs, he needs some improvement in his arm. He needs to have a better arm. Yeah, he can run. That's all fine and good. But when it comes down to it, you need to be able to stay in the pocket and sling the rock. You know, that's something that guys like Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, you know, they can get mobile, but they can sling the rock. Kyler Murray is mobile as heck, but he can sling the rock. I don't have that same faith in Lamar Jackson. That's why I say right now, as of right now especially, and possibly in the future, he's not going to be the guy. Unless his arm improves, unless he gets better with slinging the rock when it's needed and being accurate and making those throws and being that actual dual threat. Like Cam Newton is the same thing. It's like Lamar Jackson's Cam Newton 2.0. I don't understand it. You have to have somebody that not only can run and extend the plays, but sling the rock. And if you can't, I mean, it's like just having a running back there. Like, what's the point? You can't just run the ball the whole time and win a game. There are times where you're going to have to be able to sling the rock. And Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson can't do it. All right, that's my rant. 28-24 Steelers. Let's see. We got the Rams versus the Dolphins. I had picked the Rams. I'm going to be honest. I had picked the Rams in this game. I thought the Rams were going to come through and take the win. I did not see the Dolphins. Everybody kept saying it's Tua time. I wasn't 100% sold on Tua. You know, he's brand new. He's getting kind of thrown into the fire here against a really, really good Rams defensive line who can really, really rush the passer very well. And he made a friggin' liar out of me. He made me look so bad and so wrong. Matter of fact, on our Spotlight Sports Network team, there was only one. Jake the Snake was the only one who actually picked the Dolphins to win this game. Everybody else had the Rams, and it showed why he should have picked them. You know, looking at the stats here, if you can believe this, 145 total yards for the Dolphins, 471 yards for the Rams. How did they manage to lose this game so bad? 90 passing yards, 55 rushing yards for the Dolphins. 340 passing yards and 131 rushing yards for the Rams. How did you lose this game, Jared Goff? I'm talking to you. How did you manage to lose this game so badly? The Dolphins only had 8 first downs. Their third down efficiency was 3 of 12. They only converted 3 of the 12 attempts on third down. They didn't even attempt a fourth down conversion. 48 plays, that's it. That's all they had. How did they even get down to score anything? You know what? Let me go back. Good Lord, let me go back here. I'm at a loss, man. I don't even know. I've got to see this. I have got to see this. Tua Tagovailoa, 12 of 22 for 93 yards and a touchdown. They had M. Gaskin had a one rushing touchdown. How many field goals did they kick? Good Lord, I didn't even get to watch this whole game. But I'm going down. Kick return. Okay. All right, so they did get a touchdown on a punt return. And 4... Hold on, I'm looking. Field goals. That's just crazy. So did they get a defensive touchdown? Hold on, I'm looking here. Did they get a defensive touchdown? So they had a couple of interceptions. It doesn't say. Yeah, so they must have gotten a pick six. One of these must have been a pick six. But these stats don't tell me. And I didn't get to watch the entire game because they only got 4 points kicking. So they just kicked. Okay, yeah. So they got 4 touchdowns, 4 extra points. So yeah, they must have. They got a punt return for a touchdown. Tua threw a touchdown pass. They had 1 rushing touchdown, and then they must have had a pick 6. So, oh, man, what a freaking game! Holy crap, that's crazy. With those kind of stats, I mean, that's just. I still at that point, I still don't believe in Tua. How can you say Tua is the real deal? I mean, he didn't even really do nothing. He didn't really do anything. And how do you say that the Rams are a playoff team when they just get mollywopped by the Dolphins, who did absolutely nothing in that game? All right, moving on, onward. The Raiders versus the Browns. This was an awesome game. Of course, I watched this whole game, loved every second of it. Well, not every second of it. At the very beginning, it was looking pretty bleak for a minute, and I was getting a bit frustrated. Me and D were getting pretty frustrated watching this. So, looking at it, this was a messy game. It was a messy loss. We were able to establish the run, but the weather conditions were crazy. It was really, really ugly. It's not a high-scoring game. Obviously, the Raiders took it 16-6. The defense was able to keep Baker Mayfield out of the end zone, keep their receivers out of the end zone, their running backs out of the end zone, and force them just 2 field goals is all they were able to manage. And then, of course, they had one of the touchdowns was taken away, pass to Henry Ruggs, and it should have been a touchdown. His foot was inbounds, but they called him out, and then they kept it even after it was reviewed. So anyhow, I mean, this was a good game. Josh Jacobs, 31 carries for 128 yards. I mean, the guy was a beast. He just ran it down the Browns' throat. There's just nothing you could do about him. He would just run after run after run after run after run. I mean, 31 friggin' times. And that's not to mention Booker. Five rushes for 29 yards. Just they established the run. They kept it going, and it was just awesome. Let me look at some of the stats here. So our rushing, the Raiders rushing yards, 208 versus 101 for the Browns. 309 total yards to 223 for the Browns. There wasn't a lot of passing. They actually outdid us in passing, 122 to 101. But here's the big difference: 37 minutes time of possession versus their 22-minute time possession. Huge. And I even said it before in our reaction Monday on the Spotlight Sports Network. I said it then that this was the same team that showed up in Kansas City. Running the rock, establishing the run. There would have been a lot more play action, a lot more passing if the weather conditions would have permitted. But even with the weather conditions, they were still able to manage a couple of touchdowns. And then again, I know one was not given to them, but it should have been. All right, onward. So now we got the Chargers and the Broncos. Chargers. Come on, man. Really? Look, I'm looking at you, Chargers brass. I'm looking at you, coaching staff. What the heck? You're going to lose 31-30? You guys allowed the Broncos to score 31 points on you. 31 points. When you were up, let's see. Denver didn't score more than 1 touchdown until the 4th quarter. Their first touchdown was in the 3rd quarter. You were up 24-3 in the 3rd quarter. And you allowed this Broncos team to come back, retake the lead, and then beat you by scoring 21 points. Or 7 points in the 3rd quarter, 21 points. That's a total of 28 points in the 2nd half. You allow them to do that. And that's why I'm not worried about the Chargers. As a Raiders fan, I'm not worried about the Chargers. I'm not worried about the Broncos either, because that's not going to happen. No way. That's not going to happen. Our defense isn't great, but dang. You blow a 24 28-3 lead and allow them to score 28 points in the second quarter. This is the Broncos. This isn't the Kansas City Chiefs. What the heck is wrong with you? That's crazy, man. Let's move on. Let's look at the stats here real quick. The Chargers, 485 yards compared to 351. Hey, you know what? I appreciate everybody that's jumped in. If you are watching live, jump into the chat. Let me know that you're here. Let me see you. I want to shout you out. Much love. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, guys, for getting me to over 100 subscribers. You guys are great. I really, really appreciate you. If this is your first time viewing, this is the My City, My Game pod show. Excuse me. This is Raider J Reaction Tuesday. I'm reacting to all the scores and stats from all the games this week, week 8. Yeah, let me know that you're here so I can shout you out. Nothing but love, man. I appreciate you. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification button, all that good stuff. I appreciate you. Excuse me. I still got some residual from the one chip challenge earlier. Excuse me. All right, moving on. Passing yards, 275 to 243 for the Broncos, 210 for rushing yards to compare to 108. So they had almost double the rushing yards, and 5.8 versus 5.9 yards per play. I mean, that's pretty even. Time of possession for the Chargers, 35 minutes versus 24 minutes. How do you allow them to score that many points when they barely possess the ball for 25 minutes in the whole game? They only had 17 first downs. They only had 59 total plays. You just let them drive down the field on you like that? Let me look at this. Drew Lock. Who is even Drew Lock that you're going to let him come out there and do? Chargers, you should be ashamed of yourself. 26 for 41 for 248 yards and 3 friggin' touchdowns. You let this Drew Lock character score 3 touchdowns on you. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. All right, let's move on. Saints versus the Bears. This was a really good game. Came right down to the wire. I thought the Bears, I had a feeling the Bears were going to pull this out, and it was real close. 26-23 Saints. Was a really, really good game. Let's see. Let me pull up the stats here. So it looks like, I mean, gosh, man, so even. 394 versus 329. Pretty darn close. The passing yards, 272 versus 233. Still pretty close. Yeah, so, I mean, there was a really, this was a really, really evenly matched game. There's not a whole lot to say about it. There was the crazy fight in the middle of the game where Wims took off on what's his name? Hold on, let me pull his name up here. Let's see. He took off on who was it? Was it Hendrickson? I don't know. Anyway, one of the cornerbacks for the Saints went over there and punched him. I guess dude spit on him before and tried to snatch his mouthpiece out. So Wims was having had it out for him. So the next play he goes off and goes and punches him and smacks him a couple times and smashes his face and that sort of thing. But so that was probably the most exciting part of the whole game because they were pretty much evenly matched back and forth. All right, 49ers Seahawks. Man, 49ers, they lost a couple more guys in this game. That really sucks, man. All right, Marcus88, shout out to you. The college fight was nuts to Florida. Yeah, absolutely. That was really crazy, man. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate you. So let's see. Yeah, San Francisco, Seattle. They lost Garoppolo again. They lost another guy in that game. Just terrible, man. Let's take a look at the stats here. So the Seattle Seahawks take the game 37-27. 350, almost the exact amount of total yards, 351 versus 350. Now, one of the big takeaways here is the rushing. San Francisco only had 52 rushing yards for the whole game. This is one of the better rushing teams, even with the depletion. Even with the fact that they're depleted at their running back position, their running back squad is so deep that that they, they really only rushed for 52 yards. And I'm surprised by that. The Gridiron Blitz said, "Did you eat the chip, bro?" Yes, I did. I actually did. I live streamed it earlier, about 3:00 earlier. It will be posted up on the channel, so definitely go in and check that out if if you weren't able to see it. I did eat the chip, bro, and it was one of the more painful things I've ever experienced. It was ridiculously hot. It made my ears hurt. Like, my ears were throbbing. The inside of my ears felt like I had an ear infection or something, man. It was intense, man. But I said I was going to do it. I put the challenge out there. My viewers, you guys rose to the occasion. I appreciate you. The My City, My Game Nation, you guys are awesome. I appreciate you. But yeah, you guys came through, and so did I, man. I did what I said I was going to do, and I was really nervous about it. But yeah, go check out that video. The one chip challenge I did, it'll be posted, should be posted here fairly shortly. The Gridiron, oh, you didn't get a notification? Oh man, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I put it on there, man. I'm sorry that you weren't able to see the notification. But yeah, it will be there, so you can watch it. I will have it up on the channel, so you'll be able to get caught up. All right, so onward. The third down efficiency, it's about, the third down efficiency for Seattle was a lot better. Fourth down efficiency, so San Francisco was able to convert both of their fourth down attempts, which is pretty impressive. They both had about the same amount of plays, 66 versus 67. 3 sacks allowed by San Francisco, 2 by Seattle. So defenses were definitely getting after it. The time of possession was about the same, and then, there was a fumble and an interception by San Francisco. San Francisco really needs to start looking into maybe replacing Jimmy Garoppolo. That's just my opinion. Gridiron Bliss says, okay, bet. Yeah, absolutely. Go check that out. But yeah, 27-37, they're really, really evenly matched this whole game. Jimmy G, I really feel like San Francisco maybe should go out and try to, pull somebody like Dak Prescott, somebody like that, somebody other than Jimmy G, because I just don't see him performing the way that, that they should be, that he should be performing. One, given the fact that they're paying the man, and two, this team is really, really good. Yes, they're down with a lot of injuries this season, but fully healthy, this team is really good. And I don't feel like Jimmy G, given his performances, really deserves to be with this team. I feel like somebody like Dak Prescott, or somebody like that should really be the one behind the helm here, because Dak Prescott doesn't deserve to be treated the way Dallas has treated him. That's a whole different subject. But yeah, San Francisco definitely needs to go out and try to find a replacement for Jimmy G, because this run game and this defense is fierce. And they could definitely have been a Super Bowl contender. I don't feel like Jimmy G's the one that's going to take them to a bowl win, but that's just my opinion. Cowboys versus the Eagles. I knew this was going to go the way it did, 23-9. I actually did one half of the broadcast on the Spotlight Sports Network with Kia in the building. She covers all the Philadelphia sports on her channel, so and on the network. So I jumped in on her call on the game. Man, it was a sleepy game. There was not a whole lot that was going on. It was really just kind of two defenses going at it. These offenses, obviously, with the Cowboys being on their third string quarterback, DiNucci, 21 of 40 for 180 yards and no touchdowns. They managed to kick a few field goals. I mean, they're just a hot mess right now without their star Dak Prescott. I mean, even with their really good run game, there's nothing you can do with a third string quarterback. I mean, there's just not. They need to go out and they need to figure out what the heck they're going to do about that. I don't think they're going to do anything about it this year. As a matter of fact, I'm not 100% sure Dak's going to be there next year because they don't want to pay the man. But anyway, looking at the stats here, I mean, the stats are they're not very good. They're pretty matched up, pretty even. Nothing really too crazy for me to point out. Except for, the Eagles did have 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions, so that's pretty bad. They really did. The Eagles really started to put the pressure on DiNucci in that second half, which is what I was calling for them to do. I'm like, dude, pressure this guy. I mean, he's a rookie, or not a rookie, but he's a third string quarterback. He might be a rookie from what I understand. There's a possibility, but put some pressure on this guy, get after him, and he'll make mistakes, and get some sacks on him. And they were able to do that. They were able to do that in the second half and keep them from driving down the field. All right, let's move onward. Let's go. Let's see. Oh, shoot. I got kicked out. I got to get back in there. Here we go. All righty. Oh, gosh. Come on. There we go. All right, so onward. We got the last game, the Buccaneers versus the Giants. Man, I'm so stinking proud of the Giants in this game. The Giants came out and they were like, look, we're going to win this game. They looked like they were determined to win this game. They exposed the Buccaneers for what they really are, which is not that great of a team, and I don't care what anybody says. The Buccaneers should not be ranked number 2 in the NFL power rankings. I will die on that hill. They are not that good. They're not as good as people make them. Just because they got Tom Brady and the friggin' NFL or the national media just can't stand to not be all up in Tom Brady's butt. They're not as good as their record shows. They're not as good as the national media makes them out to be. They're not as good as the NFL power rankings say that they are. They barely beat the New York Giants, and New York Giants have been struggling like crazy. They don't even really have, a number one guy at quarterback, the guy of their future. And they let the Buccaneers just about beat them. Thought they were going to pull it out in the end, but of course, here come the officials running out to save Tom Brady, and an obvious pass interference gets after the flag is thrown. Gets taken up. They pick the flags up and say that there was no penalty. Once again, Tom Brady gets bailed out. And can you guys tell I don't like Tom Brady? I mean, I am a Raiders fan, diehard Raiders fan, been my whole life. I can't stand Tom Brady. Anyhow, moving on. And so they get the Buccaneers get bailed out, and once again they look like they're so good when really they're not. The Giants, let's look at the stats here. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. Let's look at the stats here. And this is why I'll tell you. 344 yards for the Buccaneers, 357 for the Giants, 263 passing, 256 for New York, 81 rushing yards for the Bucs, 101 rushing yards for the Giants. Both average 5.2 yards per play. 23 first downs versus 24. I mean, the stats are almost virtually the same. 29 minutes and 50 seconds for the Giants. Time of possession, 30 minutes and 10 seconds for the Buccaneers. The Giants had two interceptions. Buccaneers had a fumble. I mean, 3 sacks allowed by the Giants, 2 sacks allowed by the Buccaneers. I mean, pretty much the exact same. Let me pull up. So Tom Brady was 28 for 40 for 279 yards and 2 touchdowns. Daniel Jones, 25 for 41. 25 for 41 for 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Really, the only difference between Tom Brady and Daniel Jones in this was the fact that Daniel Jones threw two interceptions. That's it. So, but Tom Brady is still, the MVP, the best player in the league, and all this other stuff. Come on, man. He barely put up better numbers than Daniel Jones. Are you kidding me? It baffles me, man. I don't get how come people are so high on the Buccaneers and Tom Brady. I mean, they do have a really good defense. I will give them that. But they let Daniel Jones score. They let Daniel Jones score 2 touchdowns on them. They let Gallman score a rushing touchdown on them. Golden Tate had an interception, or excuse me, a couple of receiving touchdowns. Excuse me. It's just all right. Moving on. All right. So that was the last game. That was the last game on the list here. So overall, there was a lot of surprises going into this week or coming out of this week. A lot of fights, a lot of craziness. It was a really a lot of upsets, a lot of things that I did not see coming at all, as far as who won games and who didn't win games. It was just a really good week for football. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Obviously, the Raiders won. And so any week that the Raiders win is a good week for me. I appreciate that. I think I may have lost in my fantasy league. Matter of fact, let me double check and see. I actually meant to check that yesterday. Looks like I'm pretty sure that I lost. Yep, I did. I lost. So that's, whatever. I'm still 5-3 in my league. So, hey, what are you going to do? It was a really good week for football. I really enjoyed it. If you guys want to check it out, I will have the no chip challenge, or excuse me, one chip challenge posted on the channel. So go definitely check that out when it's ready. It will be uploaded hopefully here pretty soon if it hasn't already been. Make sure you check me out each week for this regular show, Raider J77 Reaction Tuesday, or Raider J Reaction Tuesday, where I react to all of the NFL games and stats, tell you my personal opinions. I don't try to get too deep into it or too technical. I like going over the stats and giving my reactions, but mostly I just like to give my opinion as a football fan, as a fan of the teams and fan of the players and that sort of thing. Or if I don't like a player, I'm probably going to lay into them. But yeah, definitely make sure you come check this out. It's going to be 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time each Tuesday. We got our shows going on the Spotlight Sports Network. We got our show going on the Spotlight Raiders Talk. So definitely check that out. If you haven't already and you're watching this for the first time, you like what you heard, you like the content that I've got, make sure that you like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and share this. Share the channel, share the videos that you like with your friends and family. This is your place for Raider Nation football coverage. Trailblazers, I'm going to be getting into the NBA draft here pretty soon. I'm going to actually cover all of the draft, not just the Trailblazers. I'm going to do a focus on the Trailblazers, but I will cover all of the draft. And of course, the postseason going into the NFL, I'm going to start really digging into that and having some special stuff. I've also got some really cool stuff coming as far as content. I'm going to be doing a series of shows called The Autumn's Education, or The Autumn Education, or actually probably going to be The Education of Autumn. My daughter, 6 months old, and she will be a diehard Raider fan. She will be. Her name is Amara Autumn. So Autumn obviously is after the autumn wind. If you don't know about the autumn wind, go check out. Just Google search. Go to your Google and say autumn wind poem or autumn wind NFL. I think it's NFL Live. Anyhow, Google it. They'll tell you all about the autumn wind. Listen to the poem. It's awesome. But yeah, her name is Autumn. And what I'm going to be doing is bringing her on the show, and I'm going to be doing an education where I'm going to be going over all of the history of the Oakland Raiders, the LA Raiders, and the Las Vegas Raiders. So that's really going to be cool. You guys can learn a lot of history. You can hang out with me and my daughter while I teach her all about the prestigious, awesome dynasty, and they're still a dynasty, known as the Raiders. So go check that out. The series is going to start next week. So I will be having a weekly series on that. So definitely check that out. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. Again, like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that good stuff. Also, I do have, if you'd like to donate to the channel, down in the description, there is a website that you can go to. It's my Streamlabs website. Go there. You can donate. I much appreciate it. It goes right back into the channel. I'm not monetized yet through YouTube, so I'm working on doing that. So if you do want to help out monetarily, that's an option for you to do. Go check out merchandise. The link for the merchandise is in the description. I do have a couple of pieces of merchandise also available on the Streamlabs website as well. So go check those out. Absolutely, positively appreciate all your guys' support. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, man, you guys are awesome, and I got nothing but love for you. Have a good week. Hopefully everything works out as far as the vote tonight, as far as the future of our nation. Make sure you get out and vote. If you haven't already, go do it. We definitely need to get out and vote, make sure our voices are heard. So go do that. I don't care who you vote for. Just go vote for who you want to see as our next president and then some. So go out and vote, do your thing. I appreciate you all. You guys take care, man. Peace out. Welcome to the My City, My Game pod show featuring Raider J77, your place for all things Raiders and all things Trailblazers. Brought to you by the Spotlight Sports Network. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Now let's go. What's up, fantasy champions? Spotlight Sports Network is excited to tell you about an amazing deal from Thrive Fantasy, your place for daily fantasy sports and esports. Right now with promo code SS Network, Thrive Fantasy will match up to $50 of your first deposit. So go to thrivefantasy.com and sign up now with promo code SS Network. That's thrivefantasy.com, promo code SS Network.